Sight and X-ray vision should be completely muted.
People think Superman uses his X-ray vision to spy on women. He doesn't. And somehow, that's the thing everyone argues about.
Thanks, Cat. You read this crud?
The new Superman, 2025, dares to present us with a Man of Steel who, shockingly, does not spend his working hours scanning the office for a free peek at Cat Grant's cleavage. For some, this restraint apparently requires an explanation. After all, what's the point of having X-ray vision if it isn't immediately weaponized for lechery? Surely the absence of ogling means the character must be gay, asexual, secretly perverse, or, heaven forbid, simply decent. The fixation on this non-issue says more about the audience than about Superman. The same crowd that once delighted in Smallville's accidental locker room voyeurism now frets that James Gunn's Superman shows an ounce of maturity.
But the optics? Superman is popular.
Never mind that early depictions often used Clark's developing powers as an excuse for teenage horniness masquerading as plot. It wasn't the farm boy peeping, it was the writers. The real X-ray fantasy belonged to the producers, not the character. Still, the fantasy lingers. Whole generations seem unable to imagine X-ray vision as anything other than a pervert's dream. Family Guy, Robot Chicken, and late-night comedy writers have all worked the same tired punchline. If Superman can see through clothes, everyone in the Daily Planet newsroom will inevitably die of breast cancer from his relentless peering. Because nothing says heroic satire like metastatic disease as a workplace hazard. This obsession ignores the fact that in nearly every canon worth remembering,
there were no casualties and no significant injuries.
Superman's powers don't function like adolescent wish fulfillment spectacles. In many versions, he doesn't even see naked bodies. He sees layers, musculature, bone, organ tissue. Romantic, isn't it? Imagine using your incredible gift not for prurience, but for a sudden front row view of your coworker's rib cage. Truly the height of sexual fantasy. Of course, the counter-argument is always the same. But wouldn't you if you had the power? A depressingly honest question. Yes, perhaps a lesser man might.
I mean, come on, my actions? I stopped a war.
But the entire point of Superman is that he is not lesser. He is the paragon, the incorruptible figure who proves that power can exist without exploitation. He does not sneak peeks, not because he is gay, neutered, or blind to beauty, but because he embodies self-control.
I party like a rock star, choir boy.
He is the world's most powerful Boy Scout. And yes, that is the point. If restraint is so unthinkable, perhaps it is because audiences project their own impulses onto him. The recurring cancer joke betrays the discomfort. If given such power, ordinary people might indeed become voyeurs. Worse, they might excuse it with the kind of flailing logic that justifies bad behavior as natural.
Krypto, drop him! Drop him!
Superman's refusal to stoop to that level is precisely why he remains a hero. It's not repression, it's character. The debate grows more absurd when one considers how little novelty there would be for him anyway.
Sight and X-ray vision should be completely muted.
Having had X-ray vision since adolescence, Superman has seen it all, literally. Every colleague, every passerby, every possible human variation has crossed his vision. By adulthood, it would be like living in a nudist colony. Eventually, the novelty wears off, leaving only bones, silicone implants, and the sobering reality of human anatomy. The thrill collapses into background noise. Meanwhile, Cat Grant's role in the new film has drawn its own share of confusion. Is she merely eye candy, another woman in a plunging neckline to remind us that heterosexuality is alive and well in Metropolis? Perhaps. But she also serves the purpose she always has in the comics.
Come on.
Grab the board, Jimmy.
How many does it hold?
To populate the newsroom so Clark Kent isn't eternally trapped in a three-person play with Lois and Jimmy. World building is not glamorous, but it matters. And yes, James Gunn's habit of casting friends and family in every project likely explains her presence more than any grand narrative necessity. And then there is Supergirl. If early glimpses and Gunn's source material, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, are anything to go by, she will not be spared the angst. Unlike Clark, she remembers Krypton, not just its destruction, but its culture, its traditions, its weight.
Because of our metabolism, you can't get drunk on a planet with a yellow sun.
Partying, rebellion, even burnout become coping mechanisms for a survivor who carries too much memory. Expect the darkness to seep in, the miniseries guarantees it. But back to Superman and his supposed moral failing of not behaving like a creep. Comics themselves have occasionally touched on the matter. In one issue, he admits that seeing through clothes distorts and smushes people in unappealing ways. In another, villains exploit his very decency by conducting shady deals in bathrooms, knowing Superman won't peep. The problem is solved in the simplest way possible. He chooses not to look. That's it. Consent, boundaries, morality, concepts that apparently need reiterating in 2025. It is worth remembering, too, that Superman's every iteration reflects its era's anxieties. The George Reeves Superman of the 1950s was engaged to a Leonore Lemon, a name that seems tailor-made for this discussion of L women in Superman lore. The CW's Supergirl leaned into cultural memory and trauma. The Snyder films gave us a Superman whose morality felt compromised from the outset, his very gaze carrying the suggestion of surveillance and violation. Gunn, for better or worse, is trying to steer the character back toward the idealistic core. The hero who could abuse his power, but simply does not.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
So no, Superman is not secretly gay because he refuses to X-ray Cat Grant's breasts. He is not asexual, nor prudish, nor humorless. He is, instead, exactly what he was always designed to be. A figure of restraint, a man whose decency is stronger than his libido. In a culture where many can't imagine possessing power without abusing it, perhaps that feels alien. That's precisely why we need him. And for those still desperate to imagine him leering through lead-lined bras, perhaps the problem is not Superman's vision, but our own. Subscribe for more fearless takes on movies and the heroes who shape them.